Bad news after what was just found on shooter's hotel room, and who he was caught paying. Details surrounding the Las Vegas shooter have been shrouded in secrecy over the last 2 days. The country has been waiting for answers as to how a seemingly average older man, who blended into society, died in infamy Sunday night after committing the largest shooting our country has ever seen. He wasn't known for having any political or religious views and no recon knowledge to plan an attack like this in such fine detail. Perhaps knowing that he wasn't going to leave his Mandalay Bay hotel suite alive, 64-year-old Stephen Paddock decided to film himself within the 3 days he occupied his room. This footage along with some crucial financial evidence has now surfaced, and the pieces of the horrific puzzle are starting to come together, forming an answer to a motive that every American has been waiting to hear. Speculations about this mass murderer have abounded since Sunday night, with the country attempting to make sense of a nonsensical situation. Paddock's social media account had been deleted before news broke about his massacre, and not much at all was known about this man who emerged out of obscurity to commit the worst mass shooting our country has seen in decades. Liberals are blaming Paddock's accessibility to high-powered firearms as the problem to why 59 are dead and more than 500 are injured. However, while that appeases their need to push an agenda, that doesn't answer to question as to how a seemingly average American could commit murder like this. Now, liberals are getting some bad news about who may have helped and why he committed this horrific attack on innocent people. The New York Daily Post reports that Paddock had set up a camera on a tripod at his room and filmed himself in this horrific act, shooting concert-goers from the 32nd floor of the hotel. Las Vegas madman Stephen Paddock set up a camera inside his hotel room to capture his deadly shooting rampage, and other surveillance in the hallway to alert him as cops closed in on him, according to reports. The shooter had at least one lens set up to tape himself as he unleashed hell on thousands of unsuspecting concert-goers several hundred years below his ritzy casino suite, according to ABC News, NY Post reports. Apparently knowing cops would eventually catch up to him, he also wired cameras in the hallway outside his room so he could see when the heat was getting close, the Daily Mail reported. It seems strange to record such a horrific act, and for what purpose? On Monday, the Islamic State took credit for the attack, claiming that Paddock had converted to Islam several months earlier. While his method of mass attack seemed to coincide with that of terrorism, there was nothing that tied him to Islam other than their claim. It seemed that the terrorist organization may have wanted the glory, since they had advertised a call for terrorism on the Las Vegas Strip that hadn't happened until Paddock's attack. Now, a financial trail may lead to their claim that this was a lone wolf attack, and possibly changes things for Paddock's girlfriend, Marilou Danley. As we reported on Monday, Danley was overseas when her boyfriend, whom she had been living with, committed this horrific attack before cowardly killing himself. She had returned back to her home to the Philippines about a week before the slaughter. While she was initially exonerated of any wrongdoing or involvement in this attack, now authorities have announced that Paddock sent tens of thousands of dollars to the Philippines before he committed mass murder. ABC News reports. As authorities pick apart the life of Las Vegas shooter Stephen Paddock, they have come across one major thread of suspicious behavior: how he handled his money. Paddock's recent financial transactions have become a key focus for investigators looking to learn more about the Nevada man and why he launched the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. As ABC News first reported Monday, Paddock recently sent tens of thousands of dollars to someone in the Philippines, where his girlfriend was at the time of the attack, and authorities are still trying to determine who received that money, sources familiar with the matter said. In the last 3 years alone, more than 200 reports about Paddock's activities, particularly large transactions at casinos, have been filed with law enforcement authorities, ABC News was told. The information that's coming out along with the facts of the attack weren't adding up until this money portion was added into the equation. While Paddock could have certainly been trying to hide money from the government with his large gambling winnings he was bringing in, there's also a lot of known involvement of the Islamic State, who has a stronghold in Marawi, Philippines, Newsweek has reported. Only time and authorities will tell who this money went to and for what purpose. If it went to Danley, then it would seem to suggest that she had to know something about what he was planning. This attack was too well planned out, down to very fine details, for a man with no known political or religious involvement to have executed alone. It's only speculation at this point, but it seems like he had to have had help, or that Danley, who lived with him, should have suspected that something was up in the amount of time it would take for him to plan something to this scale. Disclaimer: this is our opinion based on information gathered and pieced together as it comes out. The killer's motive has yet to be publicly stated by authorities, but the pieces are certainly not looking like Paddock snapped on Wednesday and obtained a perfectly placed room on Thursday to commit mass murder.